The lesson is taken from the letter to the church at Ephesus, Ephesians chapter 5, verses 8 through 14. Once you were darkness, but now in the Lord you are light. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true. Try to find out what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. For it is shameful even to mention what such people do secretly. But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, for everything that becomes visible is light. Therefore it says, "Sleeper, awake, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." Hear what the Spirit says today. Thanks be to God. Amen. My message is called Power and Love and a Sound Mind in the Midst of a Pandemic. Hello, friends, and good morning. Although I am recording this late in the evening, I hope this finds you well, as we used to say back when we wrote letters. I hope that you are safe and that you have what you need. And if you don't, please let us know in the comments below so that we can see about correcting that need if it's possible. What I'm hoping for all of us, and that most fervently, is that we are getting through this waiting time with steady hearts, trusting that our church stands with us even as we have to be physically apart for the present, and that God is with us. Even and especially in uncertain times, even and especially in frightening times, good grief, even at times when resources are scarce, Scripture encourages us not to center our minds on that worry which can so readily obsess us. Be content with what you have. For God has said, "I will never leave you or forsake you." Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. God provides sustenance in heart and mind and spirit. And as God's own children, children of light, as our lesson says it, we are responsible for helping one another carry the burdens life sometimes throws in our direction. We are responsible for one another, and I don't mean just us in the church, not even a little bit. I mean, we human beings are responsible for all other human beings. In the church, we are called to bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. Now, in its first generation, the church pooled their resources so they might minister to any who was in need. And it's important that we do so. Heaven knows the next few months will bring need that a lot of people, frankly, will not have experienced. And God will want us at the ready to do what we can do when we're able. So let's prayerfully seek God's guidance now and see where we might best meet those needs which are sure to come. This shelter-in-place situation in which we find ourselves can be an opportunity to do just that. Not to put ourselves to the test so much as to seek God's will on the road ahead of us, and to seek the Spirit's guidance about the part each of us will best be able to play in doing and in realizing God's will. If we're doing this, actively and prayerfully engaging with God, while our routines and our rhythms are interrupted by this time of necessity, we can take a lot of the power of fear and stress away from this moment in time. I do not think for a minute that it will be easy, and I don't want to try to suggest that it is. I know people all across the country working in a variety of industries and pursuits, and a large percentage of them, as of midweek, were out of work overnight. And most of them have no idea, really, any idea, when that situation is going to change. I have friends and family across the country whose health is compromised, for whom our current moment is especially dangerous. And, past the first half of the 80s and the AIDS crisis in its beginning, I never thought I'd have to worry about being potentially medically dangerous to friends and loved ones. But I had that thought this week, and as heavy as it makes my heart, I'll need to remember it so that I don't present a danger. We are responsible for keeping one another safe. And maybe we need to be thinking especially of those strangers in stores or in restaurants when restaurants are a thing again, or in the banks, because we don't know who's medically fragile, so we bear responsibility for their safety. It may well keep us safe to shelter in place, but that's really for all of us. A few weeks ago, and it seems like several months now, we looked at the story of the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness. One of the temptations goes like this. The tempter takes Jesus to the top of the temple in Jerusalem and tells him to throw himself off it. He quotes the words of a psalm to Jesus, the 91st Psalm. God will command the angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Jesus answers the devil this way. It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. Sisters and brothers, let us not test God by behaving in ways which endanger others or which endanger ourselves. I think our leadership is doing a hard but necessary thing, closing down restaurants and bars and, yes, even the beaches during spring break. But let us remember that the safety of those around us is the important thing, and we should never test God's goodwill at their expense. There's no need to be afraid. We can be aware of what is going on and conduct ourselves accordingly without fear being our motivation. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. We read that in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Today's lesson from Ephesians reminds us that we are children of light, and that the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true. So, as we continue onward in this unusual Lenten season, let us all use this time to try to find out what is pleasing to the Lord. May we prayerfully entrust each of our days to Creator, Christ, and Spirit. May we prayerfully and securely rest on all God's promises, those fulfilled and those which are yet to be. And in God's due season, may we step back into the rush of what we've always called our normal lives with a renewed appreciation and gratitude for all the blessings God bestows, so that we'll be able to bring forth God's harvest of the fruit of the light and hopefully the fruit of the Spirit. May it be so. And may God bless us, everyone,